Hi, I'm Dwyer, and today I'm going to talk to you how to play 7 chords, dominant 7 chords that is, in open D tuning. Now, open tuning I've been into before. I have done a few videos. I've made a few videos on open D tuning. I've spoken before about open D tuning, and it's called open D because when you play it open, it's a D major chord, and it's tuned D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. And it's one of the most famous open tunings, particularly for slide guitar. It's been used by everybody from Elmore James to Ry Cooder to David Lindley. Now, one of the things that's always been quite difficult when you're playing in an open tuning is playing other chords, because you think because of that tuning you're kind of restricted to playing major chords with one finger, quite often because you'll have a slide on this finger. Now, I figured out a way to play 7 chords. Now, the 7 chord is the bluesiest sound that you can get in a chord. So, if we're playing a blues in D, we'll need D7, G7, and A7. Okay? Now, it was a bit of an epiphany that I had. There's our open D tuning right there. D major. Now, if you want that to sound, bluesy, then you want a 7, right? You want a D7 chord. Now, to get that D7, all you have to do is put your finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. So you've gone from having that country style, it can be a little bit Peter, Paul and Mary, if you like, that straight major chord, but all of a sudden, with that 7, you're in blues land. It's a hell of a place to be. So there's your D7 chord. Now, the 4th chord that you'll be needing to play a blues in D is G7. Now, I figured this out. What we're playing here is you'll have your first finger on the 1st fret of the G string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the B string, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the high E string. Now, the great thing is you can actually play that D on the bottom because the D note is still part of the G7 chord. It's the 5th. Now, that can take a little bit of getting used to because you're used to playing say a major 7 or an F like that, but you're actually rearranging your fingers instead of playing with that diagonal shape. We're going this way. So there's our G7 with a D on the bottom, which is just an inversion. You're not adding any new notes to a chord, but there's that glorious G7. So we've got the 2 chords out of 3 that we need to play a blues in open D tuning. The last part of the puzzle is so simple you wouldn't believe it. Here's the last part of the puzzle, the last chord you need. It's so simple. You just take that G7 and you move it up 2 frets. That's all there is to it. So you've got your first finger on the 3rd fret of the G string, 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the B string, and your ring finger on the 5th fret of the high E string. So there you've got your 7th, And the great thing is that's an A, and you've already got an open A note right there on the A string, which doesn't change in open D tuning. It stays an A. So to summarize, we've got our D major. This is D7. The other two chords you need for a blues are the G7 and you can play that middle D there on the bottom as just an inversion, and then move it up 2 frets with that open A string as the root note. Okay, now I'll play a blues, kind of a swampy style in that tuning. To the A7, back to the G7, to the D7. Now I've shown you those really cool chords. We can get real swampy. We'll put the tremolo on. And those are the 3 7 chords that you need to play a blues in open D tuning. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. My PayPal details are below the screen. Keep on picking. And I'll see you soon.